Jaren Hall was named the Minnesota Vikings quarterback against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. And my biggest takeaway from Jaren Hall starting his second career NFL game is this. Can Jaren Hall lead the Minnesota Vikings down the field, make the throws necessary to do it, and will Kevin O'Connell call a aggressive enough game plan for Jaren Hall to succeed? Because I feel like Kevin O'Connell is not 100% comfortable with Jaren Hall running his offense. Because when Jaren Hall was healthy and ready to play, he was the third option for the Minnesota Vikings in that starting quarterback role. He continued with Josh Dobbs. When Dobbs didn't have it, Nick Mullins was the guy. And then when Mullins doesn't have it, I guess we'll throw in Jaren Hall because Dobbs can't complete a pass and Mullins keeps on throwing picks. So the biggest question will be, how confident is Kevin O'Connell with Jaren Hall running his system offensively? Now, when he played against the Atlanta Falcons in his first career start, it appeared that Kevin O'Connell allowed Hall to throw the football. And a part of that is just in Kevin O'Connell's DNA. O'Connell likes to throw. He was a quarterback. The Vikings only rushed the ball 11 times. So will Jaren Hall be given the full reins to run the Minnesota Vikings offense? We'll see. I would not be surprised at all if the Vikings offense went more conservative, at least in throwing the football. You're already without one of the best tight ends in football. You might be without your second best wide receiver, Jordan Addison. Justin Jefferson is back, but you know the Green Bay Packers are going to do every single thing in their game plan to try to limit Justin Jefferson's touches, because he could quadruple team the guy. Who are the Vikings going to throw the ball to? They're not going to be afraid of KJ Osborne. They're not going to be afraid of Brandon Powell. They would be afraid of TJ Hawkinson. They would be afraid of Jordan Addison. And those guys, well, Hawkinson for sure isn't playing. And I want to also touch on Jaren Hall and his performance against the Falcons a little bit, because he had the good drive of throwing the ball deep. I found, was that Madison down the field? I feel like it's his running back down the field for a long throw. And he had a lot of yards after catch. And the Vikings got down into scoring range. And to be fair, the Falcons have one of the top defenses in the league. That's what made Josh Dobbs' performance as incredible as it was. At least at the time, they had a top defense in the league. I don't know where they stand right now, but I believe they had like the 7th-ranked defense. Now, Jaren Hall did drive the Vikings down the field, and that gave Vikings fans a huge sense of hope in this quarterback, because he's a 5th-round rookie. Everybody loves a rookie quarterback. Everyone loves to see a rookie quarterback have a chance, and he showed out in one of his first NFL drives of his career. But then when they got down to the goal line, and this should not be overshadowed, the reason Jaren Hall got hurt in the first place is because he missed TJ Hawkinson wide open in the end zone. We might not ever have the Josh Dobbs conversation for the Minnesota Vikings if Jaren Hall completes that pass to TJ Hawkinson in the end zone. He overthrew him. Hawkinson couldn't come down with it. One of the next few plays, Hall gets hurt, concussed, immediately ruled out of the game, and doesn't see the field for 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever it was. So a part of Jaren Hall's absence was because he missed a throw to Hawkinson. Now we'll see if he learns from it, learns to slide, but he's trying to get his butt in the end zone. Can't blame the guy. And the other takeaway I want to discuss on the pod here is that a lot of people love to come with this, well, the coaches see him in practice. The coaches see the guys. They know what they're capable of. And it is true. Coaches do see these players in practice. But I want to push back on that thought just a little bit. It's clear Ty Chandler has more explosiveness than Alexander Madison. When he gets the ball, he's more explosive. It doesn't take a guy being a head coach in the National Football League to understand that. And I want to push back against that thought a little bit more. Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, they didn't start Brock Purdy because they thought Brock Purdy was the best option. They started Brock Purdy because Trey Lance got hurt and because Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. They started Brock Purdy because he was their last option, their last resort. So they didn't start Brock Purdy thinking that he'd be a potential MVP player. They started Brock Purdy because he fell into their lap. They were forced to start him. So everyone says, not everyone says, but people will say, oh, the coaches see him in practice. Oh, they know what's best for the team. They know what this quarterback can or cannot do. You see quarterbacks all the time being forced into situations that the coach didn't intend for them and succeed. Tom Brady is the player that he is because Drew Bledsoe got hurt, not because Bill Belichick believed in him. I mean, he believed in him. They could have subbed Drew Bledsoe back in and he got healthy, but he was forced to start Tom Brady. And Bill Belichick got lucky. Now, I know I'm using the most insane comparisons here, but the idea is still the same. Jaren Hall could be a player that fell into Kevin O'Connell's lap, and he overlooked him. And now we'll see. But if Jaren Hall succeeds as quarterback of the Vikings these next two games, and it becomes a real conversation this offseason on whether or not the Vikings should re-sign Kirk Cousins because Jaren Hall performed well in his final two starts with the Vikings, well, it's because Nick Mullins threw 6 picks, and it's because Josh Dobbs couldn't make a pass. But one more thing. I'm not saying Jaren Hall is going to create a conversation about whether or not the Vikings should bring back Kirk for another year or two. Because right now, I believe Jaren Hall's stock as a football player is as high as it will ever be. Because there's nothing like a backup quarterback in the NFL. Go through the list of players with struggling quarterbacks ahead of them. The backup quarterback is the most popular player amongst the fans on the team. They love him. Christian Ponder, we couldn't wait for Donovan McNabb to get benched because we wanted to see what Christian Ponder could do. And, you can use so many other examples. We couldn't wait to see Josh Freeman see the field because we just wanted to see what he could do. What could Dante Culpepper do? Just give him a chance. And Culpepper was successful. But Christian Ponder, Josh Freeman, they were the most loved players by the fan base until they hit the field. And that's Jaren Hall right now. The fans love him. They're excited about it. And I'm excited about it too. I want to see what Jaren Hall can do. But man, his stock is high. Because I think fans get this idea in their head that Jaren Hall is going to go out there and just explode for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 pick. That's not likely. That's not going to happen. likely what we're going to see is Jaren Hall is like 18 for 30, 170 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. And then let's see what he can do in the final week against the Lions. And see if he can build off of it. But let's be real here. 5th round pick. Not that that's really saying anything because Brock Purdy was a 6th round pick. Tom Brady's a 6th round pick. But does Jaren Hall have it? Maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. Was Kevin O'Connell wrong not to start him earlier? I mean, it makes me wonder if he is, because if Nick Mullins was truly the guy, would you ever go back on that decision and then change your mind? Should he have just started Jaren Hall right away? I mean, Mullins did some good things. He did some bad things. But because you're benching him, is Kevin O'Connell somehow admitting that Jaren Hall should have been the guy in the first place? I don't know. All thoughts to consider. Thank you for listening to this episode of the pod. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube in the bottom right hand of the corner. I appreciate you making this podcast a part of your day. Thank you for listening on Apple, on Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this podcast. Please rate, review, and tell your friends. I'd greatly appreciate it. Everyone, have a great day.